Fatiha.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين بالقاسم محمد أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. Amma ba'd, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Continuing with the khutbah number 29 from Nahj al-Balagha, we talked about the first part, which we went over, about the pretext of those who found, about the people who found excuses at the time of jihad, and they were men of talk, and they were not men of action, as Imam described them. That was the first portion, men of words, not of deeds. Imam gave different examples, and this was an attempt to try to awaken their sleeping conscience, that these people, what they were going through, especially in times when Imam needed people to stand up and defend what was theirs. So of course, we went over the first portion of it, and now we're at the second part, which is there is no hope in you. So you can understand the frustration that Imam ﷺ shows in the second portion of this khutbah. Here, if you have the first portion in your mind, inshallah, vaguely even, and just to build up onto what the next part talks about, Imam says, Al-Maghruru, Wallahi man gharar tumuhu. He, in continuation of his speech, severely reproaches them, severely. This is the peak of reproach and condemnation of an individual, where Imam says, them for their deceit, their treachery, their weakness, and their indifference. He says, Al-Maghruru wallahi man gharartumuhu. By God, the truly deceived one is the one who is deceived by you. Meaning, this is how you show difference between your words and your actions. Because it may happen that a cunning deceiver takes away a part of a person's wealth or life. Someone comes in your life, deceives you, takes away something that belongs to you. Could be your life, could be your wealth. No, that's pretty bad. Someone takes away your wealth, takes your life. Or steals your, other belongings of yours from your house, for example, by deceiving you. But you, Imam says, with your deceit, have plundered everything from me. Not just house, not just life, not just, other belongings, everything. You have turned your backs on the fate of the Muslims, and you have destroyed justice and fairness, purity and piety, honor and dignity, and the rights of the people and the oppressed. Meaning, there's nothing that is left as far as your deceit is concerned. So you are at the peak of deceiving. Then he adds, Man faza bikum faqad faza wallahi bis-sahmil akhyab. Whoever wishes to achieve victory through you by God is like the one who in a lottery draws the losing ticket. Now look at the analogy that Imam is giving. He said, well, lottery tickets back then, there were lottery tickets back then. So if you remember in the earlier khutbahs, we had talked about the lottery system over there. They didn't have the lottery system that we have, but they had something similar. But of course, it was still haram. So this indicates that your help and cooperation are in no way reliable. Because how reliable is a lottery ticket? What are the odds that are given? 1 in so many millions. That you have better odds of getting hit by lightning than winning a lottery ticket. So Imam indicates that your help and cooperation are no way reliable. And whoever trusts you in your support is like the one who takes part in a lottery, whose result in the end is the losing ticket. So the matter of drawing lots and lottery ticket back then, how did it work? If you remember, we did talk about it in the past. It was the concept of akhyab, where 10 people would draw 10 sticks. First 7 sticks would have a number from, so first stick would have number 1, meaning 1 portion. Second stick would have 2 portions. Third stick would have 3 portions. Fourth would have 4. Fifth would have 5. Sixth would have 6. Seventh would have 7. 8, 9, and 10 would have 0 portions. So from 1 to 7, you had 28 portions altogether. So if you add all of these up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then each stick would have that same number. Now they would put it into a bag. Usually the drawing was done on a camel. So they'll bring a camel will be slaughtered, divided into 28 parts. Of course, a big camel, right? Divided into, and similarly we have the qurbani in our cultures as well, where you have the hissa in qurbani of a cow or a camel, right? The camel will be divided into 28 parts. And then they'll put these sticks into the bag. 10 people will draw the sticks. And then eventually the one who pulls out the stick with number 1 will get 1 portion. The one who pulls out with 7 will get 7 portions of this animal. And that's how the 28 pieces will be divided. The 3 who pull out 8, 9, and 10 with 0 portions. Not only that they would not get any portion from this meat, they would also be required to pay for the camel's price, the 3 people. It would be divided amongst them. So a total loss for them, right? Not only that they're paying for this camel, they don't get any portion of it, and these guys were lucky, especially the one with the 7 parts. He didn't have to do anything, and he got what? 7 parts of this camel. Of course, this was batil, this was not allowed. These drawing arrows at that time was something considered wrong, and of course Islam came in and said that this is something which is haram. So same thing with lottery. Today someone asks the question, is lottery halal? No, it's not halal, it's haram. Anything to do with gambling, is not permissible. So 3 things where you'll find our maraji clearly state: 1, regarding wine, alcohol; number 2, regarding pork; and number 3, regarding gambling, tools of gambling. All 3, you can buy, sell wine, you can help it deliver somewhere, you can't lend a hand to someone and give it. None of those things are allowed when it comes to wine. Same thing with pork, same thing with the tools of gambling. So this was the way of doing it. Imam likens the people of Kufa, whose cooperation was worthless and whose participation in battle was so hollow and harmful, to those losing arrows that brought nothing but loss. He said, you're compared to those people, 8, 9, and 10, who not only don't win anything, but on top, they have to bear the cost of it as well. So what a precise and eloquent comparison that Imam draws over here with the people of Kufa. Then he continues. Oh, I didn't change this. Then he continues. He says, with another striking simile that he uses here, he says, وَمَنْ رَمَى بِكُمْ فَقَدْ رَمَى بِأَفْوَقَ نَاصِلٍ. That ancient archers who shot with bows use arrows composed of 3 parts. So if you know, the arrow is comprised of 3 parts. You have the tip of it, the length of it, and then the back side of it, upon which it rests on the archery or on the bow, right? So you pull it from that side, which rests onto the string of the bow, and then the stick itself, and then of course the pointy start of it, the beginning of it. These are the 3 parts of an arrow, a common arrow. Even if you were to draw it on a piece of paper, you'll draw 3 parts of it: the pointy beginning, the lengthy line, and then the end, however you want to shape it, where the string holds onto it. So Imam gives this example the main body of the arrow, which is the shaft, the fletching at the rear, which was made to fly straight towards the target, and the metal tip at the head of the arrow. These are the three common parts which cause the arrow to penetrate the target. It is obvious if an arrow lacks the metal tip, is it any beneficial? If you don't have the pointy metal tip in the beginning and you have rest of the shaft and the fletcher, will this arrow be any useful? Yeah, it might be able to get to the target, but it won't pierce through because it doesn't have the sharp metal edge for it to go and strike. Not only it will not fly, it will have problem in its flight because it will be unstable, but even when it reaches the target, it will have no effect. Its impact will be like that of a whip striking a body, nothing more than that. Likewise, an arrow whose end is broken and cannot rest onto the bowstring, therefore cannot be propelled forward either. You don't have any leverage to pull it back. It's not going to be able to propel to go to its target. And even if somehow it had a metal tip, it would still be ineffective. So you understand, this small weapon requires all three of these parts, so essential in order for it to be what? Successful. In this statement, Imam emphasizes that you, the people of Kufa, lack the true power needed to attack the enemy, sort of like that metal tip, the power of faith, courage, loyalty, and piety, and you have become so attached to your glittering worldly lives that you have forgotten all true values. Again, another analogy comparing this arrow to the people of Kufa. Here, an important point to note is that the word afwaq that Imam uses is derived from the word fawq. Literally, the word fawq in Arabic is above. Tahta is underneath, fawq is above. But here, fawq is the notch or the end of the arrow shaft. The fawq is the end of the arrow, which sits on the bowstring. That contains a slit where the string of the bow is placed and from which the arrow is propelled forward. And nasil comes from the word nasl, suad, right? Not seen, meaning the sharp metal affixed at the head of the arrow. So Imam uses both of these. This is expression, afwaqa nasil. So he uses the tip of the arrow and the at the end of the arrow. He uses both of these. This expression is used for an arrow that lacks both, we gotten used to this sound, both its head and tail, meaning it can accomplish nothing. If these two things are missing from an individual, they don't have the metal tip and they don't have the, that flex where it would sit on the bowstring, then you are useless. For even the absence of one of these two renders the arrow useless, let alone if both of them were absent from it. All you have is the stick in the middle, nothing more than that. What can you do with this stick? So, you have made me despair of you. Imam shows mayusi in these people. In the final section of the sermon, one of the most painful and sorrowful sermons heard from Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam pours the last lashes of reproach and blame upon their deadened souls, hoping that, they might still stir up. There might still be hope in them, getting up, rise up with the vast resources they possess, crush the devilish enemy, the power of the enemy, and rid the Muslims of these bloodthirsty men. So therefore, at the last scum of the age of ignorance, he says, وَأَصْبَحْتُ وَاللَّهِ لَا أُصَدِّقُ قَوْلَكُمْ وَلَا أَطْمَعُ فِي نَصْرِكُمْ وَلَا أُوعِدُ الْأَدُوَّ بِكُمْ. It is true that, mutual trust between a leader and followers is vital. It has to be there. If a leader and the followers, they don't trust one another, you see what happened at a smaller scale. A team leader, when it comes to sports, at the workforce, in your corporate world, a leader, and then those who are subordinates. In other fields, whether it be in a battlefield for that matter, a leader and the ra'aya, they're not aligned, then it's bound to fatal outcome of that battlefield. So there needs to be this mutual trust between the leader and the followers. It's fundamental principle of governance. Trusting the people, encouraging them, overlooking their mistakes, and pointing out their strengths brings reassurance and success. That's the job of the leader. To see the good that they possess still, even if they are struggling, you're still going to go ahead and see their goods, to go ahead and find a way positive to encourage them to move forward. But sometimes matters reach a point where, because of the extreme weakness and feebleness, scattered thinking, because they're wandering from one place to another, they're either under the influence of so and so, and that is seen today as well. Ignorance, foolishness, all the leaders' prospects are closed off, and the people in particular circumstances become what? Like the individuals who have suffered a cardiac arrest and can be revived only by severe shocks. So you see in the hospital scenes, when there's no heartbeat, nothing can be done, CPR is not working, what do? The last is, everybody clear out. And then the electric shock, to literally shock the body, because that's the only way of bringing that lifeline back into hand. It works, right? That's why they use it, this electric shock. If nothing else works, this is their last resort. So Imam is doing the same thing with the people of Kufa. He's basically giving them that electric shock. That's what he's trying to do. Or they're like someone who has swallowed a sleeping poison and must be pulled back from the fatal sleep by a sharp and forceful blow. These words, while describing the condition of the people of Kufa, also reveal the unbearable difficulties faced by the commander of the faithful, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi salatu wasalam, during that historical period. So it wasn't easy. I mean, when you try and look at the tragedy of Amir al-Mu'mineen, we think that 25 years of silence was difficult. True, it was very difficult. But the 4 years of power was equally worse, if not worse. What he inherits and what he has to deal with and what kind of people that he's trying to govern. The same mindset, same mentality. They got, it's not like they're going to change overnight. You had every right to express such distrust towards them. You say, well, sometimes the words could be harsh. Unfortunately, this is an only opportunity for us to analyze the words of Imam Ali in this depth, in these analyses that we're providing in Nahj al-Balagha. Rarely do you see people get to sit down and read Nahj al-Balagha. Here, you're truly understanding the inner cry of that strong man, the one who showed display in his leadership, in his valor, in his bravery in the first, 20 years of Islam's life. After migration, you saw his bravery and his valor, and because there was commander-in-chief there. So his duty was limited to only showing obedience to Rasulullah. But then afterwards, we see that Imam has all the right in the world to show this distrust towards these people. They were a group who only took pride in chanting slogans. I can get into a lot of discussion regarding that we have the same. We chant a lot, we say a lot of labbaik, 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 but there's really, nothing behind it. We say labbaik ya Mahdi, we say labbaik ya Hussein, but really, is there truly a spirit behind it or not? That only time will tell when the zuhur of Imam takes place. Boasting in their night gatherings, but when time came to march towards the battlefield against the clear enemy who was already breaching and causing chaos in different parts of the cities, they would crawl back into their homes. Then Imam, continuing his speech, cries out to them and says, Ma ba'lukum, ma dawa'ukum, ma tibbukum. I don't even need to translate this. Ma ba'lukum, what is wrong with you? In Arabic, in colloquial Arabic, usually when they say to someone, be careful, they say, dir balak, Be careful. Bal, he says, ma balukum. What is wrong with you? What is your ailment? Ma dawaukum. What is your remedy? What's the medicine that will fix you? Ma tibbukum. By what means can you be healed? And then he says, al-qawmu rijalun amthalukum. Here Imam refers to the enemy. He says the people of Sham are men just like you. Meaning, why are they so united, disciplined, and obedient to their tyrannical leader? I don't want to say his name in the morning hours. Why are they so united with him? They're so disciplined to him. While you are scattered, weak, and disobedient to a leader who's divinely chosen. Are they made of different clay? Or do they have a different physical or spiritual constitution? Certainly not. The only difference between them and you lies in morality and character. The character. That's all there is. Yes, they know what is required for the battlefield, but you do not. Despite their great blessings that God has granted you, such a powerful leader and other favors. Of course, sometimes you have to express these things by your own. Anyone in the history reads it would say, yes, Amirul Mu'mineen, there isn't a better leader than him. When it comes to ilm, when it comes to running the government, when it comes to politics, when it comes to siyasat, when it comes to kirdar, akhlaq, leading from the front, bravery, no one's superior to Amirul Mu'mineen in all aspects of life. The large numbers and the vast resources of the enemies have intimidated you. They have humiliated you. Alas, what a pity that a leader like me has been afflicted with followers such as you. And then Imam, says, recites a shair which is associated to him in his diwan. He says, dawa, he answers, what is your dawa? Remember, he asked, what is wrong with you? What's your ailment? What's your dawa? And what will treat you? He says it in his shair. Dawa'uka fika wa ma tubsir. Vada'uka minka wa ma tash'ur. Your remedy is within you. It's not like outside pill will be brought, you'll eat it and then you'll get better. No, it's within you. It's inside you. Yet you do not see it. And your ailment is you from yourself. You do not perceive it. It's not some external thing that is causing all of this, or it's not that something else has to come and cure you. It's within you. You can cure yourself. I can stop here and talk about the psychological aspect of this. How many people suffer, the stress-related issues, schizophrenia, and mental health issues. All of these things, a lot of time, many of these things are within insan to figure out and fix. Nothing external can come and do this. Yeah, we can talk you out of it, but you have to show that determination and willingness from inside. Finally, the closing sentence of the sermon, Imam precisely puts his finger on their true ailment and summarizes it in 3 points. And these 3 points are not for the people of Kufa, it's for all of us right here. It affects all of us in our present day life. Imam says what? أَقَوْلًا بِغَيْرِ إِلْمٍ وَغَفْلَةً مِّنْ غَيْرِ وَرَاءٍ وَطَمَعًا فِي غَيْرِ حَقٍّ. That will a speech without knowledge solve anything? Will a speech without knowledge solve anything? Will heedlessness mixed with lack of piety lead you anywhere? And do you hope for victory while you are unworthy of it? Indeed, your misfortunes stems from here. That you speak without thought or your level of understanding is very, very shallow. You have abandoned the path of taqwa and become immersed in the heedlessness and the worldliness. You wish to sit in the place of the great and victorious while you have not prepared the means for the victory. Yes, this is your ailment. These 3 factors, speaking without knowledge, ignorance combined with impiety, and hoping for success without providing it means. How many of us want, to become a millionaire, but we don't want to do anything about it? We just want to sit and just relax, and so the wealth just comes to us on its own. Or all the luxuries, not just wealth, all the luxuries on its own comes to us. Who wouldn't sign up for it today? That you got to do nothing for the rest of your life, and you'll get a check of $1 million every month in your account. Win a lottery. Remember the connection that Imam made in the very beginning? You win a lottery. You win a lottery, a lot of people, the ridiculous amount of numbers that you see on the billboards, $1 billion or $980 million or this, that's why they drive people, and people go ahead and buy tickets. And that one lucky winner, that usually isn't announced majority of the time for their safety and security. They can either take the money lump sum, or they can get over a period of next 30 years, for example. Monthly, they'll be given, I got nothing to do. That's it, you retire. So Imam says 3 factors: speaking without knowledge, ignorance combined with impiety, and hoping for success without providing its means. Whenever they appear among any nation or people, us as well, they inevitably lead to misery, helplessness, and defeat. Hopefully, we do not have these 3 factors in us. And Amir al-Mu'mineen was speaking specifically about the people of that past. And hopefully, we can draw lessons from Wa akhiru da'wana. And alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.